Joining us today on Pirate Radio Live, former ECU righty, host of the Danny Beal Show. He is DB, Danny Beal, joining us. Danny, how you doing, man?
Doing well on the way to Pineville to throw a little white ball, but doing well today. How are you guys?
Hey, man, doing great. Beautiful day. Great weekend for baseball, but the Pirates are on the road, so we'll have to check the weather there in Houston. DB, let's get a weekly, bi-weekly update on what you're up to in the baseball world. Give us an update.
No, I mean nothing really has changed. Obviously, this is a weird time of the year with minor league baseball starting up, so teams are letting go of guys, teams are signing guys, teams are putting guys in the IL. I was talking to an old friend of mine the other day. We were talking about how much injury prone pitchers there are in major league or minor league baseball. There were something like I can't remember the team, but there were like 6 or 7 guys that had UCL tears this spring training in one organization spring training, which is crazy. But it just goes to show that there's going to be spots open, and hopefully I can nab one of those, and hopefully here in the next couple of weeks we'll hear something.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man. And I thought about just kind of the way the game has changed and pitching has changed yesterday. Mackenzie Gore throwing an absolute gem for the Nationals and just striking out everybody, cruising through 6. They take him out, and then boom, Bryce Harper home run. I think Real Muto home run. But that's just kind of the way it is. You just don't see the guys extended now. And is that due to injury, Danny? Especially the opening day, you want to try to keep your guys as fresh as you can, even if they are dealing out there on the mound.
Yeah, I think earlier in the year, especially in the major leagues, just because it's such a long season and kind of the threshold for major league pitchers is if you had a good year, you're probably throwing around 200 innings. And so early on, you want to kind of ease them into it. You don't want to go 120 pitches first outing just because
Yeah.
it's not realistic. But it's the way baseball goes. You can shove for 6, 7 innings, and then the bullpen could blow it, and your outing could just be ruined, and you have nothing to show for it on the win loss column. But no, Mackenzie Gore pitched great yesterday against a good team too. So that was certainly fun to watch.
Shout out to my old Little League football teammate, Clayton McCullough,
Yeah.
getting a win in his managerial debut with the Marlins. That was fun to see. And shout out to us, J Bone and P Mace, wherever you are. White Sox over 53.5 wins.
You
Danny,
guys are
they only
ridiculous.
need 53 more. They got one under their belt.
You guys are ridiculous. I mean that they're not. I mean, in all reality, the only way is up. There's no way you could be actually worse than last year because last year you were the worst team ever. I mean, hey, it's only up from here.
While we're on the topic of Major League Baseball, Danny, what is your outlook on the Red Sox this year? We got a report from Zach Kaplan yesterday.
Yeah.
He likes them this year. How do you feel about the Bo Sox?
No, I'm a big fan. I'm a big supporter. Obviously, I mean, I've been a Boston sports fan, specifically the Red Sox. Like Cam Clutch would always give me crap because I would watch every single game and he'd be like, "Dude, don't you have anything else better to do?" But I'm very pumped for that. The Bergman thing really put it over the top for me in terms of hope and promise. I think the AL is so weak this year that they actually have a chance. I think they're going to win the division just because the Yankees lost Cole and Stanton's always hurt. But AL East, I think, is wrapped up. I know it's second day of the season, but I really am confident in that. And then, like I said, the AL is so weak where I think it's not going to be as difficult as it has been in years past to get through it. Now, I don't know if anybody's taken down the Dodgers, but I am super pumped about Crochet. He looked great yesterday. Week or day one win, I guess, with Willie Abreu having 2 home runs. But I'm very, very excited for the season. More excited than I've been in a very long time.
Did you say the AL East is wrapped up? Are you no thoughts on the Orioles maybe
The Orioles,
challenging the Yankees?
I don't think the Orioles are that good, to be quite
Okay.
honest with you. They obviously have a good offense, but they
Yeah.
losing Santander hurts, and they don't have any pitching. Like they don't have any starting pitching, which is gonna. It might not show up until the All Star break, but down the stretch, when those guys have been buried just because they've been running out there so much, and to begin with, they're not like super talented. I think that's gonna show up later down the road.
Talked to Mark Brown, CamdenChat.com yesterday, and I don't think this is hyperbole, Danny. Their starting pitchers' age average is closer to me than it is to you, and that is not a
It's
good thing right now.
Charlie Morton very skews that because he's like 45, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but like
not great.
Kyle Gibson, I think
Oh yeah.
30s. They've got a couple of guys in their 30s, along with Morton, I believe.
Oh yeah, they've got a couple young guys too. Like Grayson Rodriguez is
Yeah,
good, but he's been hurt in the past. So it'll be weird. I mean, they beat the absolute crap out of the Blue Jays yesterday, but I think Water will find us level with their pitching staff, and it'll be interesting to see how they handle that going forward.
Where's Trey starting the season, and Carter as well? Danny, do you know?
Yeah, I talked to them. I talked to Trey on Saturday for like a half hour. He's doing well. He'll be starting in low A and then kind of building his way back up. I think he's going to end up going to Vancouver, which was kind of up in the air. Vancouver's their high A spot. Low A is in Florida still.
Gotcha.
But little plug for the Danny Beal show. First episode's next week, and we're going to do a little loop around, I guess, for all the major league and minor league players. We're going to have like a 5-minute sit down with a bunch of them. We're going to talk to Zach, Gavin, Wisenhunt, Trey, Carter, all those guys, check in,
Nice.
see how they're doing and where they're starting out. So look out for that next week as the first episode of the next season of the show.
That'll be a great show. Looking forward to that. Danny, let's talk. Let's start with some positives with ECU baseball. So there's like a point where you go from, man, Trey Savage is on one right now, to just Trey Savage is damn good. So like you don't even really think about it when he goes out there. He's just gonna throw seven and be great. We need a bigger sample size, I guess, with Ethan Norby, but he is rolling right now. So is it more, man, Ethan's on a hot streak, or Ethan Norby is just a damn good Friday night pitcher? Where are you at with him right now?
I still go back to the fact that he wasn't even supposed to be a starter this season.
Yeah.
And he's performing the way he is. And I think we as a fan base and even as players have been so spoiled with great Friday night pitchers for the last however long, with whether you go from Holba to Trey Benton to Jake Agnos to Gavin Williams.
Man.
I mean, it's been, and right into Trey. It's one of those things where it's like we've always had somebody on Friday night that can go do it. 2022 was a little bit different, but CJ Mayhew filled that role great. And I think the way with Norby is, I think it's getting to the point where he's done it enough for the first 5 or 6 starts of the season where I think he might just be that good. I know he is that good, but people had to prove it and see it. And the way he's rolling right now, man, it's looking like he's going to be one of the stalwarts for this year and next year. And hopefully he can keep the Pirate pitching staff afloat for sure.
Danny, let's talk player decorum. Saw the video from the other night. Duke player walks. Gronk spikes the bat.
Yeah.
And then Cliff is yelling. He's out there. Duke coach is yelling, and yada, yada, yada. We've talked about this before, too, with you about pimping a home run or staring down a guy after a strikeout. So remind us again your thoughts on decorum, and how about that particular event where the player spikes the bat?
I mean, it's tough. I mean, there's a time and place to do it. I don't know because apparently that guy earlier in the game walked and was giving Ethan Young some lip too. But to each their own. I think there were certainly better ways to handle it in terms of umpires. Like I think they shouldn't have let it get out of control as it got.
Right.
But at the same time, like I think it goes both ways. I think there was certainly some trash talking both ways because it's a competitive environment. It's a big game. I mean, we used to own them, and lately they've owned us.
Yeah.
So it's a competitive environment, and I think we were excited because we came back and we were playing well after Braid's bomb, and then after that, I think that's kind of the way that kid plays for Duke, and I think we kind of fed into it a little bit when he spiked his bat and then was saying something to the pitcher, and then we got upset. It's the way it goes, and sometimes it's hard to control your emotions in that environment. But I think Coach Godwin was backing up his guy and being like, "You're not going to show a guy up, one of my pitchers up on a walk." And then flip side, Coach Pollard was like, I think Coach Pollard thought that Coach Godwin was talking to his player, which he didn't like, and he did the right thing again by backing up his player. So
Yeah.
it was a weird situation all around, but I don't know. It's one of those things where you just got to let it go and keep it moving.
Danny, Pirates on the road, first long road trip of the year. It's not like it's going to be a crazy environment, I wouldn't think. There at Rice, you're obviously missing the home fans and the energy that brings. But other than that, what's different on a road trip? And you're away from your own room and beds and all that stuff. So how difficult is it? How easy is it just to go out and play ball? What's your take on a long road trip the Pirates are facing?
Yeah, it's certainly a challenge first time, and especially not having played a road series in non-conference, I think it's always tough because you kind of get thrown into the fire of, hey, like it's conference, so this matters. Like we have to be able to keep afloat and win games, potentially win the series, hopefully. And I think in the years past, we went to Liberty last year. I think in 21 went to Georgia Southern before conference started and all that stuff. I think it's important to have those non-conference series on the road to kind of get your feet wet and understand what a road trip's like, a plane ride's like, practicing on a Thursday, getting used to the opposing field. And I think it's very important that Norby pitches well on Friday to set the tone.
Yeah.
In years past, we've had really good Friday starts on the road, and obviously from Trey, but I think it's important that we get comfortable quick. And whether that's on the mound or offensively, it needs to happen. We can't wait for us to catch up and get comfortable. It needs to happen right away. So it's an interesting dynamic. Rice fired their coach a couple weeks ago and hired Texas State's assistant, which just so happened to be Texas's head coach from when we lost him in the Super Regional. So we have some history with him. But it doesn't matter. When we're on the road, people always play us tough because it's their World Series. So time will tell on how that goes. But I know that we're going to show up for sure because Coach Godwin's going to have them ready to play.
Danny dropping the World Series bomb there.
It is. It's every team we play every week. It's their World Series because they know who runs the conference. But Norby said it on your show earlier this week. That team hasn't earned anything. Haven't. It's true.
That message is, I think, being delivered from the top. And, Ethan Norby did say that on Pirate Radio Live the other day. I remember Jose Cruz Jr. as a big up-and-coming prospect for the Seattle Mariners back in the day, and he goes on to be the manager of the Rice Owls, gets fired. You mentioned David Pierce comes in. Like, it can give you a shot in the arm, Danny, but, like, the players aren't magically going to get better. What do you think about these mid-season moves, and what do you expect to see from Rice the last 3 quarters or whatever of the year?
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think this has ever happened. And I mean, at least in my memory of somebody getting fired in the middle of the season in college baseball and then somebody hiring somebody right back up. Normally you do it from within.
Especially a big name like that too.
Yeah. I mean, he got hired on a Tuesday or a Monday or Tuesday. He was at Texas State and then was coaching them at FAU on that Friday. And it's just weird. Yeah. But from everything that I've seen on Twitter and stuff like that, they seem like they're behind him. They've quote tweeted a lot of the stuff about supporting him. It seems like the donors are behind him, so I'm pumped up for them.
Danny, we'll let you run before we do. Any thoughts on this NCAA tournament? Who are you riding the rest of the way? Got Sweet 16, Night 2 coming up tonight, and then the Elite 8 this weekend. And did Danny drop? No, there he is.
Wait, no, I'm here. Sorry, breaking up. Last night, BYU, Alabama. That is the way college basketball is supposed to be played.
Oh, my God.
In 2025. Nope, bad.
No, I heard the end of that, and you're exactly right. I sat there just smiling, watching the TV. Like, this is beautiful. This is great.
It was 3 after 3 after 3. I think Alabama ended up taking up 55 threes.
And when you're making 20 whatever, you can do that.
13 two-pointers.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they shot 50% from 3, and they took 55 threes.
And look,
Unreal.
I'm just a fan. I like to watch it go up in the air and go through the net. But starting to hear, like, will Duke get in the run game with Bama, or will John Shire put on the brakes and try to slow it down a little bit? I hope they just go. I want to see another NBA score coming up on Saturday. So we'll see.
No, I'm excited. It's going to be cool because I think Duke has the personnel to be able to dictate the flow of the game. But Alabama, if they're making shots, Duke's going to have to keep up with them. So it's going to be interesting to see it. It's going to be, I think the over-under is like 173.5. So it's going to be dictated, and I think it's going to go fast, which will be fun to watch.
Danny, appreciate you letting us ride along with you today, buddy.
Yeah, sorry about the connection. It's spotty sometimes, but appreciate you guys having me on.
We'll see you, man. Thanks, DB.